Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to LEGO Space. Doing the first real big update on the Titanic project here. As you can see, uh, well underway. I have the whole two bow sections completely disassembled, other than I did try to save some of the substructures and some of the smaller little builds that were part of that. Um, like you guys can kind of see here, the mess of parts that I have. I saved the stack, some of the boiler components, some of the walls of the hull, some of the other little details, cranes, these window units that are just such a fun thing to build. So I definitely saved those. Um, Lifeboats, just a couple other little components like the anchors and stuff like that. Um, Over here we have like the different floors. I decided to try to save those as much as possible, just because I put a decent amount of effort into some of these, hiding a lot of the studs and stuff. So instead of trying to remember what I did with those, I decided just to save them in their sections. So those can be easily placed again. A lot of my porthole windows, save those. The big sides, save those. This is all pretty much like upper deck stuff that I could not save very easily, so I just decided to disassemble all that. So all that'll have to be reassembled. Just a little bit of the very front portion of the lower hull of the ship, saved some of that stuff more towards the back here. Had to take some of that apart just because some of the substructure that was attached to was going away. So, but I feel like I saved it pretty good. You guys can see I'm kind of sorting out the gray parts that I did put in. So some of these gray parts were in the kit. Most of them came from me, my own parts. So I am looking to try to recoup as much of this as possible. And that's where the red, blue, and yellow parts come in. Now, I'm sorting these, not with the rest of my parts that I have going on back there. I'm still sorting them on their own, just because I know some of these gray parts came with the Titanic, and sticking with being very picky on what you can visually see in the more finer areas of the ship, like where the front anchor, the spare anchor, is placed, around some of the areas of the deck and behind the windows. I do want to make sure that I'm not putting these flashier colors behind some of that. So some of the subdecking is still going to be gray, just that way I can keep my all of my details looking really fine on the deck, and you're not going to see any bright colors bleeding through anywhere. So we are just sorting through these right now, get those sorted, and then kind of go from there. I'll probably sort through some of this stuff too. I know I need to pick out all the black parts that are in here, because some of these black parts I switched out when I was rebuilding the ship. So some of that stuff I have to keep track of and where it goes, because some of the stuff is backs for windows that kind of block out windows completely, and just stuff like that. So that's you guys can kind of get a feel for why I'm just taking this project one section at a time. You guys can see the other two sections of the Titanic are just sitting up there for now. That's where they're going to sit until I get to them. Because like I said, we're going to concentrate on one section at a time, which already I can tell it's going to be really nice for me. Excuse me. Because you guys can see I've made a lot of changes, and I've added a lot of my own parts and a lot of extra parts. I had substructures in there too that helped supported the upper decks. Stuff that I felt I wish LEGO would have done, because some of it was Basically, when I built the ship, I made sure to add a lot of interior support with a lot of these gray parts and stuff like that. So that way when I was pushing on the top deck, pushing parts into place, pushing down on it, there was no sagging. Nothing was in fear of breaking off, falling in. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm saving some of my just real simple inner structure support stuff. That's why I'm saving a lot of this stuff, because some of these were part of the support structure that I had to disassemble. So yeah, guys, it wasn't bad taking it apart at all. Honestly, I got it apart fairly quickly, just because I was able to save some of these bigger sections and not taking all that stuff apart. So that saved me a lot of time just removing them as a component and not individual pieces, especially these lifeboats. Those got kind of tiring to build after a while, so I don't feel like rebuilding those or keeping those together. Like I said, these window sections that are stacked one by ones, those are kind of a pain in the butt, so kept those together. The smokestacks I'm keeping together, except for the rear one. If you guys remember, that rear stack is going to actually have a button that goes down the whole middle of this, so that one's going to be a little different. But these end parts for these steam pipes, I took a lot of time and care to make sure everything was lined up straight when I put those together, even making sure the Technic pins were lined up. So I really didn't feel like redoing a lot of that, so these stacks will be staying together, at least the first three. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I just kind of have to keep an eye on when I start rebuilding the ship. Once I get more towards the top decks, I really got to watch what colors I start using. Like I said, I am going to try to utilize as much of this stuff as possible so that way I can get as much of this back in my inventory. And so yeah, that's pretty much where we're at for this update of the Titanic. Already doesn't hurt as bad as I thought it would to take it apart, which is nice. You know, that's the one joy about Legos for me, is the fact that you can always put it back together. If it falls off a shelf, you know, if it breaks apart, you can put it back together. If you break apart, you can always order a part. There's nothing that's forever with Lego, unless if you're gluing your stuff, then that's a little forever. But I don't glue anything, so it makes it really nice and easy for when I want to take stuff back apart. So just a little update, guys. Gonna not try to make this video too long. Something I did mean to show off in my last video was my actual Titanic plaque itself. If you guys have built this ship or you've seen pictures of this plaque, it's a very plain plaque, and I hated that for how grand the ship is and for how fantastic the ship looks. I really wanted to make something that felt like it looks like it would have sat on a desk somewhere in the real Titanic, kind of have that vibe to it. So I actually dressed the plaque up with a lot of gold pieces, and just really dressed it up as much as I could without going too overboard. I didn't want it to be like the whole thing be solid gold. I wanted kind of the wood and gold touch, the wood and gold colors. I think that looks really nice together. Kind of those nice little supports in the back, so that way it leans properly. It has like a nice lean where it's not like too straightforward, but it's not leaning too far back. So yeah, even stuff like that. Like, I wanted to make this be its own little showpiece because I made the ship a real showpiece. So yeah, it was nice to be able to kind of see what I was able to save, and I honestly ended up saving more than I had intended, which is nice. So I just have to really take my time when this goes back together, and especially when I get back to the decks and adding in a lot of the finer details, stuff like that. I'm gonna have to take my time with, just make sure I get everything right again, make sure I don't mix up the floors, make sure, you know, certain color parts go where they need to, make sure I don't bleed any crazy colors through the decks or anything like that. So So yeah, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the little update, and until next time, take care.